Hey, this is Zachlog the Great. There's a problem in economics called the free rider problem. This is the idea that if someone benefits from a system without contributing to it, such people will be a drain on the system and may eventually collapse it. One classic example is a public park. People who use the park without contributing to its maintenance, either directly or through taxes, are free riders. And then if enough people use the park without contributing, the grass will get overgrown, the equipment will fall apart, the trash won't be removed, and no one will be able to enjoy the park. This is a commonly understood problem in economics. Depending on the specifics, there are various solutions to it. I'm not breaking any new ground with that. But what I did want to say that I haven't heard before is this. Childless people in a society are free riders. They expect benefit from a system they are not contributing to. And if there are too many of them, the system crashes. Now, I also want to be completely clear who I am and am not talking about. There are people who want to find a spouse, but can't. In our society today, due to many factors I can't address right now, this is a large problem. There are people who have a spouse who want to have children, but biologically can't. Now, if this is because they deliberately chose putting off marriage, well, that's some degree of fault there, but still not who I'm really talking about. Who I'm really talking about here are people who deliberately choose to not have children. Men and women with spouses, often fairly well off, who choose to not have children. Some of them are very proud of this, as if it's a heroic act of courage to not have children. But it's not. They're free riders. So, how are they free riders? Why do I say this? Well, there are two parts. First, raising children costs time, money, and other resources. I'm not saying children are some terrible burden. But the practical reality is that not raising children is cheaper and easier than raising them. The second part, and less obvious, is that we all rely on children. Or rather, we will someday. If we live out our natural lives, we will someday arrive at a point where we are greatly reliant on the work of younger generations to survive. The most extreme example is an elderly person in need of constant care in a nursing home. Those people in their 80s and 90s are not taken care of by other octogenarians. But even without this extreme, people in their 60s and older rely on things done and created with the manual labor of those younger than themselves. They are not going to be building houses, working up on power lines, drilling oil, building and maintaining roads. Assuming we live out our natural lifespans, all of us, at some point, are going to rely on the work of those younger than us. We are going to need today's children 30 or 40 years down the line. Having and raising children is paying into the system. Benefiting from the work of younger generations is collecting from the system. Again, I want to be very clear. I am not saying this is the only reason to have children, or even the most important. Having children and raising them well is far more than a mere economic transaction. But it still can be evaluated in economic terms. And in economic terms, childless people, particularly the deliberately childless, are free riders. Many of them like to claim some kind of virtue or honor in this status. But they rely on other people putting in work they are not willing to. This is not virtue, but selfishness and laziness, not to be praised, but mocked. And if you're a parent, trying as best you can in this messed up world to raise your children to be honest, decent, contributing members of society, my hat's off to you. God be with you.